Arsenal won a contentious North London derby against Tottenham Hotspurs by 3 goals to 2 on Super Sunday to stay on top of the Premier League table. And on the other side, their fellow title rivals Manchester City kept up with the Gunners with their 2-0 victory at Nottingham Forest. On the same day, Bournemouth thrashed Brighton and Hove Albion. Welcome back to the Football Tribe YouTube channel. Robert Kesakos is my name. Welcome back from all that Super Sunday Premier League action. Plenty of goals scored on the day. A total of 10 goals scored on the day. All action kicked off earlier in the day at 4 p.m. When Bournemouth beat up against Brighton and Hove Albion by 3 goals to 0. For those that watched my earlier video on Sunday in review of the Saturday action, I did mention that I expected Bournemouth to edge this one, given that Brighton haven't been in decent form recently. And on that note, therefore, it was Marco Senesi that found the opener for Bournemouth, while Enes Ünal scored the second for Andoni Iraola's side, and then Justin Kluivert completed the 3-0 victory for the hosts there on Super Sunday. But then, while that game was going on, all eyes were at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on the London Derby when Arsenal were busy beating up against Tottenham by 3 goals to 2 in a contentious derby for most of for the neutral fans, and most importantly for the Tottenham Hotspur fans who think they were hard done by in certain decisions, especially by Michael Oliver, the center referee on the day, and perhaps the lack of intervention of the VAR in certain critical moments of the game. Well, it all started well, but I did think that Tottenham were dominating the bit of affairs, but Arsenal were the ones scoring the goals, especially in that first half that ended by 3 goals to 0. The Gunners found the opening goal through an own goal by Christian Romero there. He jumped alongside Takahiro Tomiyasu to try and compete for that ball, but it was him that won the header. Unfortunately, he scored in the back of his own net. But for me, I do credit that goal on largely Ben White. Why? Because he sort of stood with the goalkeeper. He distracted him. He tried to sort of pluck his gloves there. So in that moment of distraction, by the time Vicario gets back in order, it's a little too late to even save that ball that was headed home by Christian Romero. And then in their pursuit or in their search for an equalizer, Tottenham came close through Christian Romero, but his first header went wide. It was a corner floated in, I think, by James Maddison. Shortly after, they did win a free kick just down that flank, not so far away from the 18 yards box, and then that ball is floated in and he heads it, I think, against the post. So Arsenal survived the scare. And then Tottenham get another corner. James Maddison once again floats in that ball. Arsenal tried to clear the ball. It doesn't go so far away. It's brought in back, and then Mickey van de Ven slots the ball past David Raya for what would have been an equalizer. But then, according to VAR, when they drew their lines, it showed that Mickey van de Ven was offside, I think by just a whisker, probably by less than an inch, if from where I was sitting, in terms of the picture that I was seeing with my own eyes. But anyway, that goal was cancelled, so Arsenal stayed in the lead, of that 1-0 lead. And then Tottenham had 2 potential penalty appeals in the same moment. I think one foul coming against Dejan Kulusevski. I started to be corrected on that one. And James Maddison also involved in the heat of things there. But Michael Oliver waves off all those fouls and calls for penalties, and he lets play continue. And then Arsenal break away on the other side. Kai Havertz makes the long pass to Bukayo Saka, who goes to a 1v1, and he gets the better of the Tottenham defender before slotting that ball in the upper corner past Vicario to make it 2-0. The Gunners then went on to get their third through Kai Havertz's header. Once again, the German international there being quite spectacular on the day. So the second goal came in the moment when Tottenham were, appealing for penalty, but VAR did review that incident and they did agree with the on-field referee that there was no penalty at all, although some people will argue that perhaps Tottenham should have had a penalty prior to conceding their second goal, and maybe the result would have been totally different. So 3-0 it went into halftime, thanks to Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka, and Christian Romero's own goal. In the second half, Arsenal had an opportunity to sort of put that game to bed with two brilliant chances. Takahiro Tomiyasu heading high over the bar, and then Bukayo Saka's attempt with Kai Havertz slotting in that ball into the 16 years box was saved by Vicario. So clearly Arsenal missed that opportunity, and then costly mistakes. Everybody makes mistakes in life, in football, in sport, and everything else. But like I always keep saying, some mistakes are more costly than others, and that almost turned out to be the case against Arsenal today. Their goalkeeper David Raya, you know how they try to build from the back and all that. So he gets the ball, I think a back pass, and then he tries to chip it over Tottenham players, and that ball is justed by Christian Romero, who for some reason had surged forward really quickly, just that ball down and slots it to the net, and then it's 3-1 around the 63rd minute, and it's game on. Tottenham find a way back into the game, and from there on try to make it uncomfortable for Arsenal, and no wonder they did concede a penalty thanks to Declan Rice's foul, but it also took the intervention of VAR for Michael Oliver to award it. He had to be called on the pitch side monitor to review that incident before awarding the penalty, which Captain Son Heung-min turned up and converted perfectly, well beyond the reach of David Raya, and it was 3-2 with about 5 minutes left or to play, and then of course the what would be added time. And from there on, it was a tense moment. Arsenal had to grind it out. They had to show their grit. They had to keep their nerves down. They had to, to really fight hard to ensure that they do not concede the third. And indeed, they managed to do just that and won that North London derby by 3-2. For those of you that had watched my earlier review from the Saturday action, I had hinted in my prediction that it could end as a 3-1 or even a 3-2. So around that, and I think I got that one right. I did speculate or predict that Bournemouth would get the better of Brighton and Hove Albion, and that was the case. And then, of course, I did think that Manchester City would beat Nottingham Forest. Only that the scoreline wasn't as big as what perhaps I had imagined in my head. Anyway, at Nottingham Forest, Manchester City beat the home side by 2-0. Kevin De Bruyne providing the assists there for the 2 goals. One came in as the corner, and then Joshko Gvardiol heads it home, and then in the second half it was Braut Erling Haaland who slotted the ball home to win it 2-0 for Pep Guardiola's side. But Nottingham Forest will only have themselves to blame for not taking their chances. They did have quite a number of chances, key moments in the game in which they could have scored, but were not clinical at all, and they will only have themselves to blame for not at least getting a point in this particular match, or even perhaps the very best going on to win it, especially considering that they are in that relegation battle. So 2-0 it finished for Pep Guardiola's side as they move once again a point within the leaders Arsenal with a game in hand. Remember, Arsenal are left with 3 games to play, one coming against Bournemouth, another against Manchester United, and another against Everton. That is on the final day. While Manchester City, on the other side, in their running, they do have to play against Wolverhampton Wanderers. They do have to play Tottenham Hotspurs, and I think West Ham United, plus another game in there. So they do have 4 games left to play there for the citizens. So it's really a contentious, it's really a heated up Premier League title running with these very few games left to play. Arsenal can only hope for a miracle to happen that Manchester City do falter in their pursuit for this Premier League title, and then they Arsenal remain perfect in their remaining fixtures, or otherwise, if Manchester City are perfect, like I keep saying, they will be the champions of this Premier League season. Otherwise, maybe a quick look at the Premier League table standings. Arsenal lead the pile with 80 points after 35 games, while Manchester City, after 34 games, are coming second with 79 points, and they have closed that goal difference gap on Arsenal. I think the difference is now just down to 7 goals that Arsenal have better in comparison to Manchester City following the weekend results. And then, of course, in third place is Liverpool with 75 points, while Aston Villa are fourth with 67 points. Tottenham are fifth with 60 points, while Manchester United are sixth with 54 points. Newcastle come in seventh with 53 points, while West Ham and Chelsea complete the eighth and ninth with 49 and 48 points respectively. Bournemouth have moved to 10th place with 48 points, while Wolverhampton Wanderers are 11th on the table with 46 points. 12th place are Brighton Hove Albion with 44 points, while Fulham are 13th with 43 points, while Crystal Palace are 14th with 40 points. Everton in 15th place with 36 points, safe from relegation, while Brentford dropped to 16th following yesterday's 1-0 defeat against Everton, and now they are 16th on the table with 35 points. In 17th place are Nottingham Forest with 26 points, while in 18th place is Luton Town with 25 points, and 19th place is Burnley with 24 points, and an already relegated Sheffield United with 16 points. So those are the Premier League table standings. We do await for more action to come next weekend, but I very soon will be having the UEFA Champions League semi-finals on. Do stay locked on the channel, and I'll keep you abreast with all the updates from the world of football. Otherwise, have a wonderful new week and a happy new month coming forth there in the middle of the week as we kick off May. Happy Labor Day in advance for those that will be celebrating it. Otherwise, stay blessed, and I'll see you next time.